Hi everyone, welcome back to the Pro MMA Betting Podcast. Sorry it's so late, I normally try and get it out as early as possible, but I've just had a manic week. I haven't really even got time to do this, but it's going to be a quick fire round. I'm just going to fly through the fights a lot quicker, but I just wanted to put something out rather than miss a week. Quick recap as always on last week. So we only had one bet on the card, bet on Mackie Patolo. I got good odds on Mackie. I got him at William Hill when he was 8-13 or minus 160 roughly works out. No, sorry, yeah, minus 160 works out roughly. Going by odds that are offered in the States. Also added some more to him at around minus 200. I didn't want to pay more than that on him because he's a low level guy. It was a mistake. Shouldn't have bet him. Too low level. The Callan Potter fight with BJ Bland, really, that's what kind of forced my hand on the bet. Potter looked absolutely awful in that fight. But in hindsight, I mean, the odds I got, I don't regret the bet, but I should have gone smaller due to the kind of low level that Mackie is. I've put too much trust in him. An error. I need to learn from that, grow, adjust, evolve. I will. We also had another bet on the boxing, Jaron Ennis under 4.5 rounds, which I thought was free money. Couldn't believe the odds were so good on that. That cashed for us. Stopped him in round 3. He was fighting an Argentinian journeyman. I just don't know why the odds were so good on that. So yeah, that cashed for us. So we went 1-1 on pre-bets. Live betting, we kind of broke even. Wasn't a great week on live betting, but it's better than a loss. So kind of broke even there. But this weekend we're coming heavy. We've got a boxing show tonight in the UK, 8 PM UK time. It's going to be live betting for that. Tomorrow there's another boxing show in the UK. Sorry, the boxing show tonight is actually in Italy, but it's 8 PM UK time. Tomorrow there's another boxing show. It's before the UFC. That one is in the UK. Kicks off at 7:30 UK time, and that will be followed immediately by UFC Tampa. So we're going to have 3 big live betting opportunities. There's also going to be Bellator tomorrow night. It's on Channel 5 in the UK from 10 PM. So it's going to kind of overlap probably with the tail end of the boxing, perhaps the start of the UFC, but I don't think UFC live betting's on until 11. So I'm probably going to swerve Bellator because it's very difficult to try and live bet on 2 events at once. So we've got 3 live betting opportunities. I'm offering the live betting tips for 12 months for £150, guys. It's free money, freest money you're ever going to earn. I'm not going to guarantee we win every single week on live betting. We don't. All of my bets though are third party tracked. You can have a look at the tracker. We're up, if you're £100 or $100 per unit better, we're up over £8,000 for the year. The tracker's there, it's below this video, direct link to it. There's a direct link on the website prommmabetting.com. If you want the pre-bets as well, we're doing that for £195 for pre-bets and live betting, £195 for the year, live betting £150 for the year. It's highly likely, guys, as long as your unit sizes are a reasonable size, you know, we're talking £40-50 per unit. With the 3 live betting events we've got this weekend, I mean, it's highly likely that you cover your year investment, and moving forward you're just going to make profit from it. We treat it as an investment, guys. I don't view it is gambling, of course, but I don't view it as gambling per se. I treat this like an investment. I think you'll get better return on this than you can for pretty much anything else. It's the closest thing to free money that I've ever come across, and you know, I'm very skeptical. You know, if something sounds too good to be true, it's because it normally is. But live betting is just easy money, guys. There was also big news yesterday. The UFC have launched a live betting app. Not sure exactly how it's going to work yet in terms of how the books are going to start picking it up. I think you have to buy a license for it. But they've launched their own app. There's going to be a lot more. They're really targeting live betting, basically. I read the article. Apparently only 8% of UFC bets are placed in play, compared to something like tennis where I think it was 70%. So it's a huge market they're trying to attack. They're going to offer a lot more props on this app. I think they're going to offer stuff like how many takedowns are going to be landed, who's going to land more takedowns, all things like that in play. It's still really early stages, so we don't know how it's going to affect us, but it's only good news. They're trying to push the live betting market. I'm sure Europe is going to jump on it as well, but yeah, very early stages, but really, really good news. So guys, jump on the live betting revolution. The books are all over it now. People love live betting on other sports, so they're really targeting MMA. It's a great way to make money, guys, and it's you know, as opposed to pre-betting where you have to kind of work out the intangibles before the fight. Live betting gives you a chance to have a look, see how the fight's going. Is it going how you suspected? From what you taped, is that happening? Therefore you get your leans. It's a much easier way of earning money than from pre-betting. So have a look at the live betting, guys. If you're serious about betting, it's an easy way to make money. So £150 for the year, all bets tracked, like I said, link below this video or on the website. I also always post bet slips along with stakes. I like to show you guys that I'm betting what I'm tipping, so bet slips and stakes always posted on our Twitter page. I am as transparent as can be, no bullshit with me, no crappy sales techniques, transparency all the way, honesty the best policy. I will post everything. Anyone wants to see a slip or anything I've ever claimed to bet, just let me know. I've got them all, but have a trail through the Twitter, you'll see them all kind of posted on there. But I'm going to jump onto the UFC Tampa card now. Like I said, I'm going to fly through it, guys. I haven't got time to do the regular kind of podcast here. But as I'm looking at it, we'll quickly go through the odds like we do. I try and make this different to other prediction podcasts because I'll try and make it more line-based and betting orientated. So we'll start from the bottom and work our way through the card. Men's bantamweight division first. We've got Marlon Vera, Andre Ewell. Really interesting fight this. Andre Ewell, very solid stand up. He's quick on the feet. Marlon Vera, you know, okay stand up. His hands aren't the greatest. Ewell's going to have the advantage with the hands, but he's got good kicks and knees. He's got the grappling advantage here, Vera. It's just whether he can implement takedowns. If this fight stays on the fight for 3 rounds, probably give the edge to Ewell. Vera, he'd be wise to look for the takedowns here and use that big advantage he's got on the mat, but it's not something he's historically really looked for. But when you look at the opposition, it's not something he's really had to look for. So, I mean, he has hit some takedowns, Vera, but I feel like I'm to bet him here, I'd be relying on him going for the takedowns. He's a very slow starter as well. It wouldn't shock me if he gives up round 1. He normally does. So you're kind of chasing your tail with Vera in a lot of his fights. If he does drop the first round, I've bet him before. I've bet him against the Chinese chap Buren, and he dropped the first round. And I mean, he comes on strong, but his lines come down. He is -155 now, but it's just I just feel like I've got to rely on him to do something that he perhaps hasn't had to do before in terms of ground his opponents. And Ewell's takedown defense isn't great, as we've seen. So it's kind of one that I've stayed away from. I get the temptation to bet Vera, but I'd like to have seen him implement a more grappling heavy approach in his fights to kind of have full faith in him here on the feet. You know, Ewell, I think I'd give the edge to Ewell on the feet. Hard fight for me really to find value in. As I said, I've kind of been tempted by Vera. The money line has dropped, but I just would have liked to have seen that wrestling heavy approach. Over 2.5 rounds is even money. Look, Ewell is not stopping Vera, in my opinion. I think if he wins, it's going to be a decision. If Vera stops Ewell, it's going to be from using that grappling advantage. So it's a hard one. Vera is a finisher. He's only won 2 decisions. He's only ever lost by decision. I mean, in the UFC, if you look at his wins, his last 1, 2, 3, 4, his last 6 wins in the UFC have all been by finish. Last guy he went to a decision with, it was when he was a lot rawer than he is now. He's definitely improved. I can't even get behind that really. When we've seen Ewell, give up his neck to Nathaniel Wood, Patrick Mix, who's a very good grappler and submission guy, subbed him. So yeah, it's just a pass fight for me. I'm going to lean Vera. I'll pick him. Don't have any great faith in the pick though. So Marlon Vera, but for me, definitely a pass fight. Next up, we've got JJ Aldridge, I believe. Let me just double check that. JJ Aldridge, Lauren Mueller. I really like Aldridge. She's got really nice stand up. I bet her against Macy Barber at +200, and after round 1 I thought she was going to cash, but then kind of fell apart in round 2. Bit of a quick job, which I didn't like. It seemed like a bit, obviously I'm not the one getting hit, but it just seemed like a little bit of a quick job. Lauren Mueller is kind of similar to Macy in that she pressure forward. I don't think, well, she hasn't got the kind of power that Macy has. It's quite rare for a woman to have that kind of fight-ending power that Macy Barber has. Lauren Mueller doesn't have it, but she does apply pressure. She's aggressive. Seen her hurt to the body a few times. Haven't really seen that whipping body kick in JJ Aldridge's arsenal though. She does fight from southpaw, so it is there for her. But I definitely favour Aldridge here. Something's just held me back on pulling the trigger. I just think it's a lack of athleticism. But I definitely favour her here. I just wonder how she deals with the pressure of Mueller, because Mueller's going to keep coming. She is aggressive. But I definitely favour Aldridge's classy hands. She's got really nice boxing for a lady. So I'm going to go with Aldridge, but yeah, like I said, I just haven't bet it. The line's not really moved much. She's still minus 160. What I am tempted by, I don't see her finishing Lauren Mueller, is I haven't bet it yet because I've been waiting for the line, but I'm definitely considering JJ Aldridge by decision. It was plus 100 last time I looked. Let me just have a quick look, see if it's still the same. Mueller decision, Aldridge decision rather. Yeah, still plus 100, so that does tempt me. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, as I say. Lines, William Hill, I've got lines now. I'm waiting for a book online that I use if I do pull the trigger on it, but it won't be a big bet, because it wouldn't surprise me if she wets the bed here and Lauren Mueller pulls out the win just from kind of aggression and overwhelming her. But Aldridge does have really good hands, as I said, and I just think she's just going to be too skillful for Mueller on the feet. I don't think Mueller's not going to try and take this to the floor. She's just going to try and kind of out-savage her, basically. But I just think Aldridge will be too classy, so I'm going to go with Aldridge to win by a decision here. Next up, we've got surprisingly this is buried on the Fight Pass prelims, but we've got Marvin Vettori, Andrew Sanchez. They was meant to fight a few weeks back, so I spoke about it on whatever card it was I was meant to fight previously. I'm not going to go over it in too much detail again. I remember from taping it, and I'm pretty familiar with both fighters, so I remember both these fairly well. I remember from taping it, this was before lines came out, I wanted Vettori about minus 150. He's way out there at minus 335, which is way too high for me to bet. I do think Vettori wins this fight. If you look at like some of his fights, that like the fight with Israel Adesanya has aged really well for Marvin Vettori. I mean, he's got some that haven't aged so well, like Akhmedov, Amari Akhmedov. But then Amari looked alright so far at middleweight, to be fair. But I think Vettori Young is improving. You've got the gas tank issues with Sanchez. I mean, Vettori does slow down as well, but he fights through it better than Sanchez. Vettori's tough to take down. I just think he's gonna. I can definitely see it being a close fight. I don't blame anyone that's looking at betting Sanchez at all here. But I just think Vettori's going to win. I just think he's the young up and coming guy. I'm quite impressed with Vettori. He's just a tough out for anyone. No one kind of. You look at those losses like Israel Adesanya, close fight. You look at his loss to Carlos Jr. Close fight. He's just a tough guy to deal with, Vettori, and he's improving. He's young. He's very hungry. So I have to go with Vettori. Money line's way too wide. Fight goes. Oh, it's been bet up. Fight goes to a decision. Is it's minus 240 now. Yeah, William Hill in the UK. Well, I think Americans actually still have access to William Hill, and Europeans and Canadians. It's minus 189, which isn't a bad line. I don't think that's a bad line at all. Sanchez is tough. Vettori's not the biggest puncher in the world. I do see this going 3 rounds. Vettori by decision. I'm not really a prop player, but let's just have a look. The money line's too wide. Vettori by decision is even money. I think if you can get the over at the fight goes to a decision at minus 200 or better, it's worth a small play potentially. Vettori by decision again, worth a small play. And I don't fault anyone that. Personally, I won't be betting Sanchez, but I don't fault anyone that's having a stab, because I can see it being a close fight. Last fight, I believe, on the Fight Pass prelims is we've got Miguel Beza, Hector Aldana. I didn't do much tape on this. I did watch Miguel's fight on the Contender Series. I wasn't overly impressed. Hector Aldana isn't great. I didn't even watch tape on Hector. I just remember he's not great. I'm not even making a prediction here, guys. I didn't like kind of what I saw from Miguel really, to play him at -200, even though I know Hector Aldana is on a lot of people's fade list. So it's a past fight for me. I'm not even touching it. Let's move on to where the live betting will kick off, which will be the Max Griffin Alex Morono fight. I'm just looking actually on, because I'm on Wikipedia. It's not got the. Okay, no, the order's changed according to this, and alright, the order's different. They've changed the order around, but the fights I've covered so far are the first 4 fights. But we do have first fight for live betting according to Wikipedia is Figueiredo Tim Elliott. Look, I favour Figueiredo here. Tim Elliott's been out a couple of years. He's 32 years of age. He's got very good takedowns, Tim Elliott, but he's very scramble heavy. He's submission over position. He doesn't have great top control. I think he's going to struggle to hold Figueiredo down on the feet. There's not many people that can contend with Figueiredo on the feet. He is a bit low volume, but for a flyweight, the guy's got immense power. Elliott's, I don't think he's ever been TKO'd, or if he has, it was a long time ago. I think maybe once. But Elliott's going to have to consistently hit takedowns here, because his top control is just not good enough to keep Figueiredo down, in my opinion. He done that against like Louis Smolka, just consistently kept taking him down. But I think he will get Figueiredo down, but I don't think he's just going to be able to take Figueiredo down at will, especially the longer the fight goes. He's got to be very careful as well, closing the distance. Figueiredo's got a big uppercut, big power. Elliott's very herky-jerky on the feet, and I wonder if I try not to factor in injuries because you just don't know, but I wonder, if that knee injury is going to have any effect on his athletic ability. I'm going to assume it isn't, because as I said, it's just an unknown, so I don't like capping on that basis, but I can see Elliott's path here. Just a scramble heavy fight, lots of takedowns, but it could be a case of kind of position versus damage that Figueiredo's going to do. I've just got a favour of Figueiredo. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I kind of want to, but just I can see how Elliott wins this fight potentially, and Figueiredo is -190. Would ideally like a better price, so I don't know if I'm going to end up on him or not at the moment. But yeah, I have to go Figueiredo. I just think he's been the more active guy. The only person that's been able to kind of keep him grounded is Formiga, who is a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player, and he's very much position over submission, unlike Tim Elliott. Tim just doesn't have great top control, but he is dangerous in scrambles with his submission attempts and so forth. But I'm going to pick Figueiredo to win this fight, probably a decision. I just think damage over control is going to weigh on the judge's side here, so I'll go with Figueiredo to win this. I'll go with a decision win. Next up, we've got Max Griffin taking on Alex Morono. Interesting fight, this one. Good fight in the welterweight division. Alex Morono, look, he's got a kickboxing style, the high volume, very wild. Especially if you put him on the back foot, he just kind of responds with windmill punches. But I don't want to write him off completely. He's the wins he's got in the UFC aren't the best either. He lost to Keito Nakamura. Isn't the best at getting outstruck by Keito. I mean, it was a close fight, and I think it was over in Japan as well, so who knows, maybe he was affected by the flight and so forth. Long flight over there. But yeah, just haven't been overly impressed by Morono. He's kind of borderline UFC level. Max Griffin, he's had some impressive performances. The Mike Perry fight was very impressive. He's coming off a draw with that Russian who he would have lost to if he didn't have the point deducted for the cage grab. Griffin does tend to slow down in fights, but he's got power. We saw him drop Mike Perry. He had Thiago Alves in trouble in round 1. But yeah, he has some cardio issues. But I think the big X factor here is Max has wrestling in his back pocket, and Alex Morono has shown really poor takedown defense in the UFC. And I mean, he got wrestled by Jordan Mine for the best part of 3 rounds. It didn't show much ability to get back to his feet. So that's a worry for him. There's other fights as well where he's shown a lack of takedown defense, and Max you know, he does mix in takedowns with his striking. He's not just a one-note striker. I give him the power advantage on the feet. He throws the straight punches versus Morono's wide winging hooks. He's got the wrestling in his back pocket. Morono, I don't think he's ever even gone for a takedown in the UFC. So, and he's shown poor takedown defence, so he can mix it up there. So, I have to go with Max. You know, I don't think he's going to run away with a fight. Morono, you know, I don't think Max is the kind of levels above to do that, but I just think he's the better fighter. I think he's more well-rounded. It could get interesting if Morono doesn't make him work hard, especially if he can get up from them takedowns and the fight goes deep. As I said, we have seen Griffin slow down, but yeah, for me, I do favour Max. He's minus 140. I think he opened the slight underdog, but the line's been around kind of the minus 140 mark for a while now. But yeah, I do favour Max here. I wouldn't. It's not a big bet, but I think anyone, you know, wanted to stab on the fight, I don't think a unit is a bad play on Max Griffin there. Next fight we have late notice fight. We got late notice for Mike Davis. Thomas Gifford, Mike Davis. I don't hold Thomas Gifford in high regard. I view him as a better version of Devin Powell, to be completely honest with you. His UFC debut, he was just walking forward. He showed good toughness. He kept coming forward, but he was just getting picked apart on the feet, getting taken down at will. He's not UFC level. He's a regional kind of guy. Mike Davis was meant to fight 2 weeks ago, so I'm not too worried about him not being in shape here. He's just won the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts as well. He's a talented guy. He's had a tough run though. I mean, Contender Series, he took on Sadiq Youssef. Probably the best fight on the Contender Series so far. Had his calf mushed though quite early, which affected him and kind of allowed Sadiq to run away with the fight. And then he took on Gilbert Burns on short notice. You know, it's a big ask taking on Gilbert Burns on short notice. He's probably got the ideal fight here for him to get a win in the UFC, especially being on short notice. Although, like I said, he was meant to fight 2 weeks ago against Danny Henry, who, funnily enough, stylistically is a very similar opponent to Thomas Gifford. The only shot I really give Thomas Gifford here is if Mike just unloads on Thomas and gasses himself out. So he needs to be careful with that because Thomas is tough. He did keep moving forward. I can't remember the guy's name who he fought in his UFC debut, but he was forcing that guy to actually end up clinching with him and hitting takedowns because he felt a bit uncomfortable with the constant pressure that Gifford was bringing. But Gifford just doesn't really offer much with his hands. It's just not much offence on the feet. I don't think he really hits hard. I just think Davis is going to outclass him on the feet here. Just pick him apart. Needs to be careful he doesn't gas himself out. But I see him winning a fairly comfortable decision or actually stopping Gifford. So Mike's got a good chance here to get a W in the UFC. The lines came out, I think he's about minus 250. Look, if you're looking for a leg for a parlay, I don't think that's a bad shout. Put him in a parlay with someone else you like. Don't go crazy on it because even though he wasn't meant to fight 2 weeks ago, he's still short notice. Don't know what he's been doing the last couple of weeks, but he looks like someone from his Instagram that keeps themselves in incredible shape, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, he just needs to make sure he doesn't gas himself out. But I definitely go with Davis there, probably to win a fairly comfortable decision. I'm probably going to go with. Guys, Ryan Spann, Devin Clark, I haven't looked into the fight. I'm not going to give an opinion on it because, I mean, I'm familiar with both guys. They've both been in the UFC a while, but I just haven't looked into the fight. I don't particularly trust Devin Clark. I've just got reservations about his chin, but and I remember his last fight against I can't remember his name, the Polish guy, and yeah, he won. But I remember it was 1-1 going into round 3, and I'm not particularly impressed with that with the other guy. So yeah, I just don't feel like it's a fight I was going to get a great read on, and I'm not particularly high on Spann either because I remember having a little stab, in hindsight, a bad stab at Lil Nog. So it's just a pass fight for me, guys. I'm not even going to break that one down. So I'm going to move on. I've not done the tape, so there's no point wasting anyone's time. So we're on to the main card now. First fight, Eryk Anders, Gerald Meerschaert. I guess I'm going to go Eryk Anders, but he's a very difficult guy for me to trust. I'm not putting money on him. The Tim Williams fight always rings in my head. He's just got real low volume, Eryk. Gerald's probably going to struggle to get Eryk down, which is where he's probably going to need the fight. But having said that, wouldn't shock me if Gerald just spams body kicks from range, although they're both southpaws here, so Gerald's body kick, which is pretty good, isn't going to be there for him, so it's going to be harder for him to actually spam kicks from range. But I just don't trust Eryk Anders, guys. I mean, the line isn't bad. He's minus 150, but minus 160 he's gone up to, but I just can't pull the trigger on him. I think Gerald's going to, as I said, going to struggle to get Eryk down, especially the longer the fight goes, but I just don't know if I trust Anders to put out enough volume. You know, he's wet the bed a couple of times. Tim Williams, although he won, it was just a bad performance, and then he should have beat Theo, but he kind of threw that fight away. But I do favour him, but it's just hard for me to trust him, so pass fight for me. Oh, the fight's set at over 1.5 rounds. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that at all. Wow. Damn, look into that, guys. I'm looking into that for sure. Minus 140. Over 1.5 rounds. Let's have a quick look at the records here. Meerschaert is tough. He's tough to finish with strikes. We saw Thiago Santos finish him, but I think that's the only guy that's ever finished him with strikes, and that was a bit of a sustained beatdown. Let's double check that. I'm sure Thiago's the only guy to KO him. Yeah, he's got a lot of submission losses, but that's not going to be a concern here. Gerald, you know, he normally finishes. That's how he wins his fights. But Anders isn't someone that's kind of going out and being finished in his losses. He's only got one inside the distance loss by KO, and that was to Thiago Santos as well. Funnily enough, in a fight where he actually was doing pretty well, considering he was really short notice and up at 205. Yeah, I think that's definitely got value. That one over 1.5. I'm definitely gonna have a solid think about that. I don't like over sweats, but I was really expecting that to be 2.5. So yeah, for me, the value on that fight is the over 1.5 minus 140. So yeah, I you know, this pays better than Anders' money line, so at least you've not got to rely on that flake. So the over there definitely for me is a play of interest. Next fight, Matt Frevola taking on Louis Peña. Guys, the theme for this card is that there's not many people that are big favourites. The lines are all pretty close, but it's just full of fighters that are just really, really hard for me to. I have trust issues with so many fighters on this card. It's weird. It's like they've taken a collection of untrustworthy fighters and put them all on one card, which is making this a really tough betting card for me. But Matt Frevola taking on Louis Peña. Again, I just don't trust Louis Peña as a favourite. I'm not in love with Matt Frevola though, but he is the underdog here. He's plus 140. If you want to play this fight, I think the value's on Matt Frevola. I'm going to pick Matt Frevola. I'm not overly confident, but we've seen Louis Peña taken down in all of his fights, I think, pretty much. He's not bad at scrambling, and Matt hasn't shown the best top control, so I think he's probably going to struggle to keep Peña down, but I think he's going to get takedowns on the feet. I mean, Peña's got that big size and reach advantage, but he doesn't use it particularly well. He holds his chin high as well. Favola's not a mug on the feet. We saw him do fine with Nano Veneta on the feet. So for me, it's a dog or pass. I can't get behind Peña at minus 160. He will be taken down in this fight. Like I said, he's pretty good at scrambling. I don't think Matt's going to be able to hold him down for long. But on the feet, I think it could be competitive. So I think the value sides with Frevola here for me personally. I just checked the over just in case it was 1.5, but it's not. So that's a pass. It's over, and the line's crap as well. So, but yeah, for me, I'm going to pick Matt Frevola. Haven't bet him. Don't know if I'm going to, but I think the value's with him. Next fight, we've got Mackenzie Dern taking on Amanda Ribas. Like Mackenzie Dern's jiu-jitsu is probably the best out of any woman on the roster. Really, really good precision jiu-jitsu. She's coming from a kid though. Like, she gave birth, I think, 3.5 months ago. But check her out on Instagram. She looks in amazing shape. She's always had a problem with making weight, and she's been saying that she's walking around at like 100 120 pounds fight week. I mean, we'll find out soon when the weigh-ins are, but she looks slimmer on her Instagram. Now, the problem with Dern is her stand-up sucks, but she does have power. She can crack for a woman, and she just doesn't have a reliable way of getting fights to the mat. She's not got a good takedown game. Amanda Ribas has been on the, I think, the Brazilian judo team, so she should have a sound understanding of takedown defence. It's hard to get a read on her though, because there was no tape for like 3 years, and then she came back and she ran through Emily Whitmire. Pretty impressive performance, to be fair, from Ribas. But like I said, it's hard to fully gauge her game, but she's at ATT now, so she's going to come in with a smart game plan. She is a grappler by trade, but surely she's going to want to keep this on the feet. She looked pretty aggressive against Whitmire on the feet. Again, there wasn't much, so it's hard to gauge, but her stand-up looked okay. So I expect her to come out here, put the pressure on Dern, and try and outstrike her. I think would be the smart strategy. But Dern might only need 1 takedown to win this fight, or 2 takedowns, worst case scenario, to win a decision. So I mean, she looks amazing on. I don't want to factor it into my capping, but just 3.5 months after giving birth, that's an extraordinary stress on a lady's body, and to come back already, I just wonder how she can be like 100%. But I don't want to factor it in because it's just guesswork on my part. Mackenzie Dern is a -145 favourite. Look, I think this could be a close fight. As I said, Mackenzie just doesn't have a reliable path of getting fights to the floor. She's not a good takedown artist, and I mean, she was pregnant for 9 months, obviously. She gave, so you know, since we last saw her, how much time has she had to work on her takedown game? I don't think she's had much. So I just wonder if she can she get Ribas down? It's a hard fight for me to call, honestly. I had a little stab on Ribas when she was +140. I kind of regret it a little bit now, but I mean, it wasn't a big play. I'm going to go with Ribas here. I get why people are on Mackenzie Dern here, and I've seen a lot of people saying that she should be a bigger favourite. It is a little bit of a stab in the dark on Ribas because we've only really got the Whitmire fight to go off. Before that, fights were 3 years old, and she was like about 2021, so there's definitely been improvement, and she's at ATT now. So I'm going to go Ribas. I might have egg on my face here, but yeah, I think if it's on the feet, I'll give the advantage to Ribas, although that is a bit speculative on my part, and Dern can crack, so Ribas will have to be careful because we've seen Dern drop people. She can crack, and if it does end up on the mat, I think it is all one-way traffic and Dern will win, so it's definitely not a confident pick. So we could look at this. This is over 2.5. It's set at. What is Dern by submission? +150. Really in love with that, to be honest with you. I don't see Ribas finishing. If she does win, Ribas decision is +250. No, if you don't want to take the money line, I always say though, if you want to bet a dog, you should just take the money line. You're just being greedy. If you only want to have a little fun bet, I don't think Ribas decision is the worst stab in the world. And I've had a stab on Ribas moneyline at +140, but as I say, it's very small play. It's not a confident pick. Mackenzie might come out and make this look easy. If it hits the mat, she probably will, but she just doesn't have a reliable way of getting fights to the floor. It's really going to stop her moving to the upper echelon of the division. So yeah, I'll pick Ribas, but as I say, I'm not massively confident with that pick. Next fight on the card, Niko Price, James Vick. So Vick's moving up to welterweight. He's coming off 3 straight losses at lightweight. I mean, he should have been at welterweight a long time ago. Is it going to help his chin? Is the question. We just don't know. He's still going to have the same defence. He's still going to have the same sky-high chin. Niko Price is probably one of the worst opponents he could have got, kind of outside of the top 10 of the welterweight division. Niko Price, just you tape him, he doesn't seem to do anything well. You want to fade him, but man, he's got some power. I bet Jeff Neal in his last fight, and man, I mean, he made Jeff Neal wrestle in that fight. I really didn't expect, and I was absolutely bricking it because I mean, yeah, Neil just didn't look comfortable on the feet at all with Price. Guy's just got some freaky power. He's hard to trust because he's just not the best fight. You know, you watch his fights and he's losing most of them until he suddenly wins out of nowhere. You know, he's Tim Means. He was making Tim Means look like Floyd Mayweather until he just landed that knockout shot. You know, there's other fights where he's just not looked great. I remember betting him against, I can't remember the guy's name. I think he choked him in the second round, but he like dropped the first round to him. Like, it was just like, oh, it's just hard to get a read on, but he's just real dangerous. And I just don't know how confident Vick's going to be here. He's fighting for his job. Is he going to move forward? Is he going to be content throwing punches, or is he going to be really hesitant and, you know, try and be on his bike and just try and win a decision here? Because he's definitely, you know, they've given him an awful matchup here, and mentally I wonder how he is going into this fight knowing he's got a big puncher. Look, I have to go with Price here. He's minus 145. It's just hard for me to back him though, because he's just not a great fighter from a technical point of view, and he's kind of KO or bust. But he could make this look easy. But having said that, he might not. He could get his head boxed off for 3 rounds. If Vick can avoid the big shot, Vick's going to win this fight. I'm not particularly keen on the under, because obviously Price can knock Vick out, but I just think Vick's going to kind of be on the back foot. I don't think he's going to be stepping in with his shots. So I'm not a fan of the under. I don't think Price, I haven't bet him, but I don't think Price is a bad play here with all the question marks around Vick. It's just weird seeing Price as a favourite over Jones Vick, I suppose, when we consider historically the, you know, prices we've had on Price and prices we've had on Vick. Vick wins by decision is plus 400. Look, if you like your prop bets, I don't think that's a terrible bet, but it's going to make you sweat big time. I mean, any bet on Jones Vick here, you're going to be sweating for however long this lasts. I'm going to pick Niko Price. I can see why people would bet it. I haven't pulled the trigger myself though, just because he's a flawed fighter. But I just wonder what headspace Jones Vick's in, so I'll go with Price here for sure. Next we've got Cub Swanson, Kron Gracie. Simple match to break down. Cub needs this on the feet, Kron needs it on the mat. If it stays on the feet, Cub Swanson's going to win this fight 100%. If it goes to the mat, we could see Cub tapping the mat. He's, you know, tendency in the past is, you know, a lot of his losses are submission losses. Kron doesn't really have a great takedown game though. You watch the Kawajiri fight, he just pulls guard on him. But that was 3 years ago. Then we saw the Caceres fight. He kind of slipped a Caceres jab, came in, took the body lock, pushed him to the fence, and took his back standing, pushed off the cage with 1 foot. Really nice back take standing, pulling Caceres down to the mat. Cubs takedown defense isn't bad, but I went back and I looked at Fight Metric just to see who'd taken him down, and there was a couple of takedowns awarded to Artem Lobov, and I went back and watched it, and Lobov took him down in the first 60 seconds. Now I'm sure he wasn't expecting it, but still a bit of a worry when you're coming in here against a guy that is definitely going to want you on the mat, and if he does get you down, it could be curtains. So look, it's a hard fight for me to be confident in either way, because Swanson seems to panic when a fight hits the mat. Kron just doesn't really have the stand up or wrestling game. Look, I'm gonna have to pick the dog here in Swanson though. He's had like 50 fights. Kron's had like 5. He's clearly gonna win this if he can keep it on the feet. He's plus 145. It's not a confident bet. I definitely wouldn't go crazy on it, but I definitely see the value of being with Cub here. But I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting subbed. Kron gets him down somehow in some crazy scramble, or does what he did against Caceres, kind of transitions to his back standing from the body lock. But I definitely don't see him hitting like a single or double leg or anything like that. Kawajiri fought really silly. He could have, well, he did step out of Kron's guard twice. He could have made him stand back up, but he tried to like jump back in with like a stomp twice and ended up getting his back taken both times. You've got to assume Cobb is not going to be that dumb. He's going to fight smart. If he does pull guard, he's just going to, as soon as he can, step out and stand back up. So, but you know, Cub is getting up there in age, so I'm going to go Cub, but I'm not overly confident. But the value's definitely with him at plus 145. Right, main event of the night, we've got Joanna Jędrzejczyk taking on Michelle Waterson. So there's been a lot of conjecture over the last 24 hours. Money came in on Waterson because it came out that Joanna's struggling to make the weight, basically. She wanted to agree a catch weight. Now it turns out that she's going to try and make the weight. So it's going to be very interesting to see how she looks in a few hours on the scale. We've seen Joanna struggle on the scale before. We saw that against Rose, and it really affected her chin. You know, mushed her chin completely. Now Michelle Waterson doesn't have the stand up of Rose. She doesn't have those straight, accurate shots, so it's probably not as much a concern here. Joanna is in a bit of a hard spot because, I mean, really she needs to go up to 125, I think, but she's never going to win the title there. I think she sees her title chances being at 115. I think she's been promised a title shot if she wins this fight. I think whoever wins this fight gets the next title shot. So, yeah, I think she sees herself having a better chance against Weili Zhang than she does Shevchenko. I don't know, to be honest, if she does, but especially with that durability issue. I mean, she had better cuts after the Rose fight. She had a good cut against Tecia Torres. Looked much better on the scale. But it's been a little while since she cut down to 115. She's getting older. She's 32 now. She had a boob job as well. I guess that doesn't help matters. So yeah, so that's why the money's come in. There's just been some concern about the weight here, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. If we do put that issue to one side, she's taken on Michelle Waterson, she's coming off 3 straight wins. I don't think Michelle deserved the decision over Courtney Casey at all, so it should be two wins for me. Yeah, she's probably in career best form, Michelle Waterson. She's got that karate style. She's very athletic. She's fast on her feet. But I just think Joanna's a level above Michelle, being completely honest here. I just don't see her having the offence on the feet to be able to trouble Joanna. She's very kick heavy, Michelle. You know, she is a good grappler, but she does rely a lot on kind of head and arm throws, and I mean she hasn't been so head and arm heavy with her takedowns recently. She has hit some more conventional takedowns, but I mean Joanna's always shown really solid takedown defence and really solid get ups. I don't see that stuff working on Joanna. I think this fight is going to be played out on the feet, and I just think Joanna is the better striker. Michelle, as I said, she's very kick heavy. I mean, I honestly think Michelle needs to land that front side kick to Joanna and drop her and choke her out, or just knock her out with that. Honestly, I don't want to write someone off. And you know, there's every chance she could be catching Joanna at the right time. Joanna, you know, is she regressing? I don't know if she's regressing, but maybe some other fighters have come up through to her level. You know, we saw Rose. We saw the rematch though. The rematch was 2-2 going into round 5, very close fight, and it looked like it was going Joanna's way. But Rose bit down and managed to pull out round 5. She had the win over Tecia Torres, where she looked fine. She's very good in the clinch, Joanna. I wonder if she used that here against Michelle, or is it just going to be a range kind of kickboxing battle? And then we saw her against Shevchenko up at 125, but Shevchenko was just too big and too strong for her. Waterson is an atom weight, really. She's going to be outsized here. As I said, I can't see the takedowns coming into place here. I think it's going to be on the feet, and you know, I always remember Michelle against Tecia Torres. I bet Tecia Torres in that fight, and Tecia Torres just absolutely tore her apart on the feet. Waterson wears damage badly as well, and I think she might have some kind of issue with, I can't remember if it's her left or right eye, but in a few fights I've seen it puff up pretty bad. wouldn't surprise me to see that again here if Joanna can keep landing a jab or the right hand, because it definitely seems like an issue for her. But for me, yeah, as long as she's not badly depleted from the weight cut, as long as her chin isn't complete mush from the cut, I see this being a fairly comfortable win here. I think for Michelle to win, it has to be something pretty low percentage. So if you are looking for, I mean, if you haven't bet Joanna yet, just wait for the weigh-ins to see how she looks. But I think if you are looking for a partner for a parlay leg, I don't think Joanna is a bad leg to use at all. But especially at the lines now, it's, you know, dropped to -335. But like I said, I'd wait. If you haven't bet her, I'd wait for the weigh-ins to see how she looks at the weigh-ins. So that wraps up the cards, guys. Good luck. As I said, live betting, £150 for 12 months. DM us or drop us an email, tell you how to make payment. It's through PayPal, info@prommabetting.com. It's not coded on the website. It's got the old prices on there, so don't pay it through the website. Just come to me direct. If you want me just to send you the address to send it via PayPal, I can do that for you. And free live betting shows from tonight, boxing tomorrow, and the UFC. Good luck, everyone.